What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Wall Street Rundown, man. This is your host, Billy. I got Wale with me. What's good, Wale?
What's good, man?
Man, this is our first episode of the year, man. That is crazy. We have officially been on YouTube for a whole year because I think we started last year around January for YouTube. So that was exciting, man. But nevertheless, man, let's talk about what came here to talk about. New year, new narrative, same mission. We're here to educate you guys on the market, give you guys systems, give you guys an understanding of how the market moves and all those different things. But before we talk about what's coming in next, man, Wale, man, what's on your list? What's on your goal list for this year, man? Like, what are you trying to accomplish for this year?
So personally, what I usually like to do is with my mutual fund account is usually try to beat the S&P 500, right? So that's
Mhm.
usually my goal every single year. So this year I did beat the S&P 500 again, which I'm happy about.
Let's
I think
go.
my mutual fund account was up about 20%. So, not exceptional, but
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good. And this is, like I
yeah.
said, this is not money that I manage actively. I basically just create an asset allocation target. I adjust the targets from time to time, depending on how the market is, and I just fund it automatically with just, automatic investments. And to me, if you haven't done that yet, that's the one of the easiest places to start.
Yep, yep.
Find a dollar figure that you can commit to on a regular basis and just put it into the market, So that is usually a good place to start. So that's usually my goal every single year is to outpace the S&P 500.
Yep,
And
yep.
then besides that, I mean, that's pretty much it. I've gotten more into day trading than swinging, and I've kind of looked to polish that a little bit more.
Yep.
I kind of like the fact that you can get in and out of a trade in like the first hour or two and have the rest of the day to yourself
Just chill. Yeah.
rather than babysitting a swing trade. So my goal is to, get more efficient with day trading. Because I'm usually, I like to swing, but trying to get better at
Mhm.
that. But that's it for me. What about you?
Man, same thing here, man. I think toward the end of the year, I started doing more day trading, and trust me, it was the right atmosphere for it.
Yep.
Let's hope that this year also will be the right atmosphere. We'll see. I mean, as a traders or as investors, you gotta be flexible. When the market tells you what
Correct.
it's doing, you,
Correct.
you gotta readjust your mindset real quick. Narrative might change, but the process is still the same. But if the market is telling you to do something else, then you should be listening and not be stuck on
Correct.
your own ways, right? Because
Not be stubborn. Yeah, not be stubborn because that's how you get clapped.
yeah, man. But man, before we talk about even 2026, man, let's review last year, man. 2025 was a very interesting year. I mean, if you guys took a look at it, it wasn't easy for some stocks if you know exactly what stock not to look for, but it was very easy for other stocks. But in the middle of all of that, it was kind of confusing too because people were talking about, the longevity of AI. People were talking about what's happening with, if there's a bubble of not. And then you had the tariff added on top of that. Trump was hitting us left and right with the tariff conversation, especially when April came around. We had that crazy drop. But if you go back to the chart, look from that April drop till the end of the year, like the stock market just shot up like crazy. So if you were confused, we were all confused, but the market was still the market was still hitting all time high. So you're just gonna have to let go of your narratives and follow what the market goes, like follow the
Correct.
direction of the money. So let's hear it, man. Let's do a quick review on your end about 2025, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what's the setup.
Yeah, so the first quarter of 2025 was rough, right? Because we had the going into the election in November of 2024, there was a lot of optimism about the new administration being very friendly and lax when it came to certain policy and things like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah, yeah.
going into the end of the year, into the beginning of the year, actually, of 2025, things went really, really well. Then we had that first quarter with all the tariff narrative, and that caused a lot of chaos. I
Mhm.
mean, everything pretty much went straight down. But we saw a pretty significant bounce after Trump kind of walked back the some of the tariff threats to some of the countries that they were doing business with. And since then, everything kind of ran. So let's just look at some data. So S&P 500 was up about 16% for the year, and this is the third straight year of double digit gains. So again,
Crazy.
if you haven't been in the market the last 3 years, right, you have really missed out on a really, really good bull market. The Nasdaq was up about 20%, and then IWM or Russell 2000 was up about 11% for the year. So if you put this in context, if we zoom out a little bit, the last 4 years of the market, we've been up 4 of the last 5 years, right? Because 2022 was the one down year that we did have, but we have been
Yep.
up. So that's an 80% success rate over the last 5 years. This
That's
is why
crazy.
I always tell people that if you have a long-term view in mind when it comes to investing, you can just buy the index and be fine, right? You're not going to get the sexy returns that everybody likes to talk about and brag about, which is fine. You don't
Yeah.
need those to be financially successful. You have to be consistent. So if you've had a 401k or an automatic investment plan over the last 5 years and you've been putting in the same amount of money every single month or every single week,
You're
however
doing
you're
good.
doing good. You're in great
Hmm.
shape. So
Yep.
congratulations to those people. Now, a lot of the talk this year was around technology stocks and AI and all of that stuff, which was the headline. But beneath the surface, gold and silver
Silver toward the end of the year. That was some crazy
blew
moves.
out the market by a wide
That
margin.
was that was crazy move.
So silver was up over 140% for the year.
Crazy.
Gold was up over 60% for the year, which is wild because those are asset classes that tend to be more defensive.
Yeah.
So to see stocks up and gold and silver up in the same year, very, very unusual. It's not something you see every day. And if you look at the gold miner stocks, man, those stocks did really,
Mhm.
really, really well. So those were I wouldn't call them sleepers because towards the end of the year everybody started talking about it, but I did
Yep.
not expect gold to outperform the market in this type of environment that we've seen.
Facts. Facts.
A lot of the Mag 7 also gets the headlines. Everybody's talking about Nvidia, everybody's talking about Google, everybody's talking about Amazon, which didn't do nothing. Everybody's talking about Apple, which really didn't do
Mhm.
nothing.
Meta, all that.
So let's look at some of the names that had stellar years that not a lot of people paid attention to. So Western Digital, WDC, was up over 200% this year.
Nuts.
Seagate, STX, was up over 200% this year. Micron was in the headlines a lot more than most stocks. I will say that. They were also up 200% this year.
Yep.
And lastly, another stock that I want to talk about was Celestica, CLS, another stock that was up over 200%. Then there's a stock that probably you never heard of that did really well. I've seen this stock before, but I never really put it on my radar. It's called Lumentum or Lumentum, LITE. Go check that chart out. That stock was up over 300%
Oh my
in
God.
2025. So
Opened the year at 40 something, closed the year at almost $4 million.
$400.
Dollars. Oh my God.
So I missed out on that because I was so focused on Oklo, which had a really good year. But
Right, right.
this stock did numbers and didn't get a lot of headlines. Nobody really talked about this stock. I didn't. I mean, it was up every single month except for
Like literally.
literally almost every single
April.
month. Yeah, since
Whoa.
April. I mean,
Yeah,
since May, June, July, August, September, October,
it just kept
November,
going.
December, and it didn't stop, which was crazy.
That's nuts.
So those were some of the biggest winners that I have on my list as far as what happened in 2025. Now let's talk about the losers for 2025. So one of the biggest areas of losses that we saw this year was in the fast casual sector. So that's going to be like your Cabas that was down big this year.
Yep.
Chipotle was down big this year. Sweet Greens was down, I think, like 70% this year.
Mm-hmm.
Shake Shack was down big this year. So when you look at what 2005 showed us is that consumers were not willing to pay the extra amount of money for those high-end foods, right? They probably preferred to go to like a McDonald's or go to like Jack in the Box or something like that rather
Yep.
than paying for the high-end stuff.
Yep.
So consumers kind of scaled back on that fast casual dining, which is a thing that we saw in 2025. You also saw scale backs on some retail names like Lululemon didn't do too well
Yep.
last year. Restoration Hardware didn't do too well last year. You had Target didn't do too well last year. So, um,
Nike.
yeah, Nike, yeah. So we saw consumers spending, but we didn't see it in these types of areas of like fast casual dining and then some of the high end things that we're used to seeing. Another name that had a bad year, but the asset class didn't do too bad was MSTR.
Mhm.
MSTR was down over 40% last year, but Bitcoin was only down about 6%. So I always tell people, why buy MSTR when you can just buy Bitcoin?
Bitcoin. Yep.
So if you want Bitcoin exposure, to me, that tells you the variability of where MSTR could move compared to where Bitcoin could move. So
Yeah.
I will leave that for the crypto people to kind of debate for
Debate
themselves.
on it.
Yeah. And then one stock I put on my list that I was really surprised had a good year. Go check out Dollar General, DG.
DG.
Dollar Ge-
Nice.
Dollar General surprisingly had a really strong close in 2025. That last 3 months, fourth quarter,
It had a good
um,
recovery. Really
amazing,
good recovery.
amazing. So sometimes when you get in stocks that, may not be doing too well, because this is a retail stock as well, because they deal with consumers,
Yep.
but execution can be the difference maker between success and not success. Because Dollar General caters to a cheaper consumer. Target has a broader consumer,
Yep. Yep.
but two completely different stories when we look at the stock prices of last year.
Yep.
Execution is really, really key. So again, I always tell people if you're going to be invested in individual stocks, treat it as you own a piece of the business and just don't close your eyes. If you're going to do that, buy a mutual fund or buy an ETF. But if you want to own
Yep.
individual stocks, make sure you keep your ears to the street. But overall, those are the things that I just wanted to point out for 2025 that stood out to me. But also too, Oklo. What a move. Now I've sold some of Oklo on this pullback and I'm looking for a re-entry,
Hmm.
but because I had some stop losses, not stop losses, but stop limits. If the
Yep.
stock pulled down below 100, if it pulled down below 80, I would sell some. So I've sold some of Oklo, but I'm not completely out. But yeah, that stock had a really good year as well.
That was a monster move, man. That was a
Yeah.
crazy, crazy, crazy move. I want to talk about some of those bad names that kind of had like a hard time in 2025, especially the retail ones like
Okay.
Nike, Target, and all those different things. I think long term, if those companies can figure out how to get back up there, I think they're gonna have some really good years come to come. But it's like they have to figure that whole
Correct.
business
They got
out,
to figure it
right?
out. They got to figure it
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
Nike got to figure out, Target got to figure out. I think Target probably figure out before Nike. To be honest, I think they'll figure out before Nike probably, but you don't know. I mean, another one is Starbucks. If Starbucks can figure that one out,
That's
also
true.
they
Yeah.
can also have a good years to come. But it's like some of those beat up names. If you are patient, if you have a watch list of all the beat up stock, put them on the list and mark your levels and where you want to enter. I think these are going to be in a couple of years. These are probably going to be some good stock to look into. For
Correct.
now, I think the focus is on technology, on energy. So it's like all the money's going there basically.
Another thing I'd also keep in mind too is if you're going to participate in a comeback story of a stock that you're waiting to come back, make sure you understand what's going on on the
Yep.
earnings calls. If you can't listen to the earnings calls, go into Chat GPT and ask for a summary of the earnings call. They'll give it
Yep.
to you because
Yep.
after every earnings call, they will the investor relations team for every public company post information on a website. And if you don't want to read through everything, use ChatGPT, use Copilot, whatever it is you use to get a summary of what was discussed, what
Yep.
was good, what was bad, and things like that. Now with Nike, we saw Tim Cook and the CEO buy shares.
Yep.
So that gave people some vote of confidence and insiders are still liking what could happen with Nike. I think they've got a long way to go. But could they rebound? Yes, it's just a matter of how long will it take.
Yep.
We did the same thing with Intel. When Intel was trading below 20, we were like, Intel has the potential to
Yep.
come back. Here are my reasons why I believe in Intel. And now we're sitting at a stock that's, got up to 44, pulled
Yeah.
back a little bit, but it was up about 6 or 7% today.
Right.
So make sure you have a thesis of why you want to invest in a stock and you understand what's going on in the business. Like we understood, he said Intel's got to shed some of the fat. We saw them selling some of the assets, right? And they started doing really well with selling assets and finding
Mm-hmm.
buyers. They had to
Mm-hmm.
make some partnerships, right? The US government got involved. They were like, we can't let Intel fail. Then we saw a partnership
Mm-hmm.
with NVIDIA.
Yep.
So all of those things kind of came into fruition. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it would happen that fast, but we had a compelling reason why we liked the stock. And if none of those things came to fruition and the stock went from like, I don't know, 19 to like 13, then you got to make a decision. Do I want to still wait or do I want to hold?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, that's why
Exactly.
I went with stock instead of options because I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take.
I feel like that's been the case for 2025, man. It's like we get into stock, we're like, this is probably gonna be a year or two play, and then the next thing you know, it's like it's just running within a couple of
Yeah,
months. So
correct. Yeah,
again, when you have a good thesis and you believe it, you put your money behind it,
yeah,
again, don't be so stuck to your ideas. Like reevaluate every now and then. Like while I say,
correct.
jump on those earning calls to listen
Yeah,
to exactly what the company's doing.
yeah,
And don't buy broken businesses, buy broken stocks. So
yeah. Buy broken stock, don't buy broken
yeah,
businesses. Yep,
yep,
exactly.
yep.
Yeah. So
All right, man. Well, I know we talked a little bit about some of the winners, man. I know we talked about the Nvidias, the Outclows, and all those different things. Those were the loudest name that we heard back, in 2025. But I think the narrative still continues. Like energy, 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 energy. You know what I mean? That is gonna be the main thing. And I think like I don't know, but I really hope people are listening. Like, I really, really, really hope people are listening. Energy is going to be a crazy need as we scale this AI technology. Data centers also going to be a huge need. All of those things are going to need energy to power those things. You know what I mean? So, again, keeping an eye on that. And with that being said, like Google actually made a huge move when they turned around and bought Intersect Power. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, read between the lines, man. Like all these big tech companies are buying these energy companies. Like they want to own that because they know it's like, we don't want to pay somebody to rent energy from them. We want to own the energy so we can be able to supply to our customers a lot faster, not rely
and
on some
and
third
a,
party. You know what I
and
mean?
avoid bottlenecks because
I
this
know.
is this,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is the thing that I think big companies realize. They realize how slow in this country it takes to update and change infrastructure.
Yeah.
They understand that. Like they know how old the grid is. They know demand is going up. So they're like, we're not going to be reactive and wait for the government to step in. We're going to be proactive.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
until things like SMRs come online and things like that, they got to find another way to make things happen. And Google
Yep.
went ahead and spent 4.75 billion dollars on that purchase. So we're
Crazy.
not talking about small money. So, and Google, who was supposed to be one of the main players in this whole AI story, is getting ahead of the energy demand
Yep.
now.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So
And,
that go ahead.
and it's a smart move on their behalf. Like I honestly think it's a smart move to be able to get ahead of those things. Because like as demand continues to grow, if you can't meet that demand, guess what? Customers gonna go to the next person. Like,
Yep.
hey, Google can't support us, so we out of here. We're gonna find somebody else to do it.
Correct.
So
Yeah, exactly. This is what I picked up when I did some research on what um, Google is getting. So Google has they get multiple gigawatts of energy generation and data center projects that are either under construction or in active development. This is the key to me. Accelerated ability to bring power generation online in lockstep with new data centers and strategic integration of clean energy, storage, and backup power technologies that can power Google's cloud and AI workloads. So, what they're basically saying is we don't want to be dependent on anybody.
mhm.
If we need power, we can go get power.
Yep.
And I hope people are paying attention to what is going on with the demand for power, right? To me, that's one of the bigger themes that I would be looking at in 2026 And a couple names that stand out to me in that space are GEV, which is GE Vernova,
Lenovo. Yep.
NRG, and then
Yep.
also Constellation.
Yep.
Those three would be, they're fairly large companies, right? There probably be some smaller players that you can also take a look at. Your standard utility companies like your Dominion Energies and your NEEs and things like that. But those three to me, I would put those more as priority on the top of my list. Um, as far as where I would be looking for what do you call it? For energy plays as this data center build out starts to expand. So,
Yep. 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 Another name that I want people should pay attention to is LEU. If you go look at LEU, the way it ran
oh yeah,
today,
you've been talking about that one. Yep.
I mean, the way it ran today was crazy. And I mean, just go take a look at that when you get a chance. The ticker is LEU, Centrus Energy Corp, but it goes by LEU. Um, Go take a look at that, man. And the way it's starting the year, like I don't think they're wasting any time in terms of like,
And
you
it's
know,
pulled back a lot. It's pulled back.
yeah, yeah. It was a $400 stock, back in October.
Mm,
So again, the energy story is going to become is going to dominate this headline. I mean, you see Donald Trump, DJT's company is buying a stake in, like, nuclear energy company. So it's like you're going to see that narrative also happening on that side. So, man, like, if it's not that obvious, I don't know how much obvious it can be. Like,
hmm.
where the direction of this next couple of years is going to be at. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we have proven that AI is a needed technology. But
Yep.
now it's like, how do we support this needed technology?
Yep.
That's when the ecosystem is actually going to be very, very, very important. How to support all of that.
Another thing that I always tell people is, we like to talk about the hyperscalers, right? The Microsofts, the Googles, the Apples, the Amazons, the Metas, the
Yeah.
Nvidias. These are already like massively large companies, right? They are fairly stable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are companies where you know that they're not going to go out of business anytime soon. But their growth may not be as, I wouldn't put them in the hyper growth category, right? They're steady and consistent growth.
Yep.
Even though Google did do, you know, 60% last year as a company. Until they unlock something else like quantum,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's going to be the next phase that kind of pushes them past that hyper growth stage.
Yep.
Apple hasn't figured out how to get how to get out of there, because Apple had their hyper growth stage when they revolutionized the iPhone.
That's it.
Nvidia had their hyper growth stage when they revolutionized the GPU market, right? So these companies are good because they have stability, they're steady. You can get them in an
Mm-hmm.
ETF, you can get exposure through an ETF or through an index. But look under the surface and do research. And the area that I would be very, very in tuned into is the suppliers of the AI story. We talked about
Mm-hmm.
these, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the real estate, but the suppliers. I mean, look at Micron. They were a supplier. They're a supplier.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at that stock price.
Yep.
STX is a supplier into the AI story. Look at that stock price. I think there's another one I can pull up right now that also did very, very well. Um, I mean, they've pulled back a little bit, but go look at Dell. Dell was trading at $66. They're a server company. In April, Dell shot up to 168
Hmm.
last year. So to me, there's a lot of opportunity for suppliers to the AI story. Go look at what ASML did today,
Yep.
up over 8%. Go look at what VRT did today, the cooling company,
The cooling company. Yep.
up over 8%. Because big institutions, I think they got a buy rating from a big institution. I forget. I think
Mm-hmm.
it was might have been Barclays. Barclays was like, yeah, these guys are, going to be a big player in this space.
Yep. Yep.
Now, remember that we gave this to y'all last year.
It was below 100.
We beat Barclays to the punch. Yeah, it was
It
below
was
100.
it was below 100.
Yeah.
you
Actually,
know?
this might have been like back in 2024 when we were talking about
Yep.
VRT. Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
So
It was still like around $40, $60. Yeah.
correct. So yeah, we did a whole episode a couple episodes ago about the different layers of people that are supplying product to the AI build out.
Yep.
And to me, that's where a lot of the hyper growth opportunities are located.
Mhm.
And not just the technology, but as Billy also mentioned, the energy and the power as
Energy.
well.
Yep.
So I would be all over those opportunities.
It,
Software did pretty good. Planeteer had a good year, but there were some other names that didn't do too well. Like
yep.
I think CRM didn't do too well last year, if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
CRM, Zoom, all of those ones. They didn't really do too well.
yeah, CRM was down. Um, the one company that has AI in their name has not done anything. AI, C3
Nope.
AI,
C3, I haven't gone anywhere.
they were
I
down
mean,
last year. Who else was down last year? ServiceNow was down last year.
mm,
They gave a lot back. So there were specific pockets in the software sector that did well because I like software going into 2025.
right.
But there was only specific names like AppLovin, Planeteer. You had to be real strategic about where you couldn't have bought an ETF and been like
Yeah. Yeah.
probably would have finished flat because you had a lot of losers and a lot of winners. So financials
That's another
also
one.
did really well. And we're
Yep.
talking about the Morgan Stanleys, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs. I mean, they did really well. That was another thing that I liked in 2025 was financials. And
Financials. Yep.
a lot of those names had really, really, really good years. And then Bank of America finally got over their post financial crisis gains.
I miss that move, man. Because Bank of America is one of those. Um, if you go look at their options chain, it's very cheap.
Cheap.
Like very cheap. If you really can get like that dollar, $2 move, whew, boy, you
And
get
I want
paid.
and I want to say Bank of America every single day is the most active stock trade
Yes.
as far
Yep.
as volume is concerned. I think it's the
Mhm.
most active stock traded. And their option bid ask spreads are like usually like 1 cent, if
Yep.
that, if that.
That's why I say it's very cheap. If you can catch a good, a dollar move on them, your position moves a lot faster. So
Yeah.
just
So
just to let you guys know out there.
yeah. So those are, 2025 was a very, very good and yes. Now, whether that will continue into this year, there's a lot of things that we have to be
Yep.
mindful of.
Yep.
Number one, we got a new Fed chair coming in the middle of the year. Number two, we're starting the year with higher unemployment.
Yep.
And number three, we are not exactly sure what the rate cycle will be moving forward. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, Donald Trump is going to want someone who's going to go in there and cut rates like crazy. But if the committee is not on board, it may not happen.
It might not happen. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be very, very mindful of that.
Hmm.
So we'll
Hmm.
see what 2026 holds in store, but I am optimistic that we could still have a pretty good year. Maybe not another double digit year, but I
Yeah.
think if you look in the right places,
You
um,
get some good
I
ones.
think you'll find some opportunities. Like today, we saw Boeing make a nice 4% move today that we caught. Some of these industrial names who have not done super, super well might be an opportunity you might want to look.
Yep.
Small caps, healthcare, right? So, we'll have to see if this is the year, if the money flips from the big tech giant winners to the lagging defensive losers from last year. We'll have to just wait and
Hmm.
see.
Hmm.
Too early to tell right now, but it's definitely something to watch that I'd be putting on my list for 2026.
Yep. But I'm telling you, man, like there's gonna be a lot of opportunities there. But for me, energy plus AI infrastructure is gonna be the backbone for the next, I'll say at least for the next 10 years. That's gonna be like, the thing to like really, really keep an eye on because
Yeah.
technology is not gonna stop. Everything we're building right now is gonna require faster processing, faster everything, power, more power, more power. It's gonna be more power. I mean, we're thinking about putting power plants in the moon for God's sake. So I don't know.
They talking about putting data centers in space.
In space and under the water. Like they're really trying to figure out how to like, you know, store all this information that we have. You know what I mean?
Correct.
There's a crazy idea over there that they're trying to store data into like a DNA strand because the DNA strand has holds a lot of information that we can't even figure out how to do it. You know what I mean? So
What?
I don't know how they're gonna do it, but it's out there. I'm telling you, man, there's some crazy ideas out there. Because we have so much information is becoming so we're hoarding information so much now
Mm-hmm.
that we need to store it somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So so again, storage is going to become one of those big things that we got to keep an eye on, man. But
Correct.
man, let's move on to Tesla, man. Whoo, Tesla is losing EV dominance. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like it's been a while because I feel like there's competition in Tesla,
Yep.
but I feel like the government has been doing a really good job of not allowing some of those Chinese EV to be sold here. You know what I mean? They were doing a really good job.
You hit it on the
I'm telling you,
nail.
man. I'm
Because
telling you.
so let me tell y'all something. Because the US has restricted the ability for BYD to enter the US market, they have done Tesla a huge favor. And
Yep.
for us here, when we think EV, we think Tesla. But when you talk to people that live in other countries, it's BYD.
Yep. Yep.
It's BYD. I mean, if BYD could sell EVs in the US,
Tesla
oh
will be
man,
$10,000 car. Tesla would drop 10,000. It'll be a $10,000 car. That's how bad it's gonna be. You know what I mean? Because if you saw some of those cars, the technology in some of those cars, the BYD or even like the Neo and all these different things in China, the technology inside of those cars are far beyond what Tesla is able to offer us
it's
here in the
superior. It's
US.
superior
You know, it's crazy.
with better designs too.
Better designs, faster battery change, faster everything, longer range, and the technology within the car itself is ridiculous. They already have automated everything. So it's like it's a huge competition.
I mean, to me, if you could even the playing field and said, okay, let's put BYD here, let's put Tesla here, Tesla would be at the bottom of the EV world.
Yep.
They'd be at the bottom. Like we're out here buying Cybertrucks and freaking, the Model Ys, and you go look at some of what those BYD cars can do, man.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, it's to me, it's there's no competition. There's no competition.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I guess the stock didn't really get hammered that much,
No, actually, it was up for
so
a little bit.
we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, it was up for a little bit, and then it just dropped because I think when we opened up, it was two up on the day, and then it just kind of collapsed from there. Oh, I think we lost Wale. Wale, did we lose you? Oh, there you go. You come back.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think it's my internet. I don't know what's going on.
But I was gonna say, man, like I think back in 2011, also Elon was making fun of BYD, basically telling them like it's not a good car, it's blah blah blah, all that stuff. Basically, like just making jokes about them. But now you see the same car company you're making fun of is actually overtaking you right now. You know what I mean? So for Tesla deliveries dropped 8% year over year,
And
with
I think
1.64 million vehicles delivered in 2025.
and I think this is the second straight year they've dropped, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Yeah.
Yep. But if you look at BYD, their car sales rose by 28%,
Sheesh.
and the delivered number is 2.26 million units in 2025. So almost double what Tesla has sold
And that is without access to the
without
US
access to the
market.
US. Without access to the US.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So
But I thought the stock was going to get hammered, but to me, Elon keeps talking about robotaxi and autonomous, so maybe that's what he's
yeah,
focused on rather than car
yeah.
sales. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with with Tesla. Might be the reason why he wants to bring SpaceX, public.
Yeah,
because I
he has to bring something to the investors. He has
because
to.
I thought that he was like, I'll never bring another company public ever again. But you know,
He
when you
needs to.
have when you raise a lot of money from private investors, they want some sort of out at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah. So
Yep. And he needs to prove his worth. So
yeah,
he needs to figure out how to make money for the investors and stuff.
yeah, exactly.
But even that, man, the man is supposed to be like the first trillionaire. I mean, of our century, of our generation.
I think he'll get there. I think he'll get there at some point. It's possible
Yeah, yeah. But
because I saw a stat that his net worth in maybe like 6 years ago, 2020,
mhm.
was like 24 billion. Now it's
that's so
over
that's
seven. Now it's over
that's so
700.
crazy. That's so crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but people got to understand too that a lot of his net worth is tied up into stocks, right? So
Stocks,
it's
yes,
not like
yes.
he has the money sitting down somewhere.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Heck no, no. A
So
lot of
he still need to prove his worth to be able to ever get paid some of those packages that he got
correct. Yeah,
promised and stuff. So
yeah.
but yeah, man. But the real question here, man, what does this all mean for 2026, man? So we talked about some of these themes like AI infrastructure, power. We talked about. I mean, we didn't even talk about defense and cybersecurity and all this stuff. How
Hmm.
their involvement is going to be this. I mean, they didn't really do too good or too bad in 2025, but in 2026, as AI is becoming more and more usable, is becoming more widespread, there's going to be a need for some type of security that's actually going to be part of that whole package. So
Correct.
again, uh, what does that look like for 2026? I know you also talked about in terms of politics, a new Fed chair can shake up the market a little bit and create
Hmm.
some type of volatility also on top of that, right? So um again, like how does that actually shake up the market? How does that look for 2026? So let's give a I know we kind of talked a little bit even in between the segments, we talked a little bit about what our thoughts are for 2026, but let's just do another dive into that and to give the people some good ideas about that.
Yeah. So for me, the way I look at it is whatever happened in 2025 happened in 2025. Like, don't expect what happened in 2025 to happen again, right?
Right.
So, because I'll give an example. A lot of people who started day trade in 2020 was like, "Oh my God, this is how the market is," and that's what they're used to. 2021 was a completely different year.
Completely different.
2022 was a completely different year. So to me, moving forward, I still think that we're in an environment that supports, you know, bullishness.
Mm-hmm.
We've got we didn't even talk about the Fed injecting what is it, a couple
That's a
billion
whole.
dollars into the
Yep.
market,
Yep.
right now. So we've got that going on right now. The Fed chair to me is going to be key to what type of rate environment we're going to be in because I think the market is pricing in two or three possible rate cuts right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the inflation story is a story to me that may not be done exactly. We haven't seen, to me, the real data because of the government shutdown kind of skewed that.
Yeah.
We've got higher unemployment, but I think I would be optimistic, but I wouldn't expect I wouldn't be surprised if let's say this market had a 8 to 12% year overall, just as it at the index level. I still
Mm-hmm.
think technology is going to drive a lot of the growth, but I still think that it's not going to be the hyperscalers. I'm looking at the suppliers to those hyperscalers. One thing for me about 2026 is Aklo said that they're gonna have their product online by 2027. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a big year for them to get to that point. So, if they can have a viable product by 2027, a lot of the infrastructure and a lot of what needs to be done to get that product live. I don't know if it's going to be early 2027 or late 2027. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm paying attention to will they be able to deliver? And that stock has come down from like what 190 to
One.
like 70-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They're gonna have to deliver because I think they have some good backing, man.
yeah,
So
they've
they're
got some
gonna
good
have
backing,
to
and the,
deliver.
and the
Yeah.
government is behind them too. That's
Yep.
what I like about them. If they
Yep.
need grants, to me, it's not going to be about will they be able to get the funding. I don't think that's going to be a problem. The problem is going to be will they be able to execute
To execute.
on that timeline. So,
Yep.
The
Yep.
stock is taking a hit. Again, this is not a stock that you can evaluate based on revenue, and no, this is about a thematic potential of transforming where power comes from for data centers.
Facts. Yep.
So that is uh that is what I am looking at. And again, Sam Altman being on the board and jumping off was what got me really interested. And the current energy secretary was a former board member. Yeah, I'm gonna ride this one till the wheels fall off. So I just need to find
Mhm.
out where I want to start buying more.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah, for me, like 2026 is gonna be about positioning, man. You gotta understand where the money is going. You gotta understand where technology is going, and you gotta understand the economy, where the economy is heading to.
correct. Yep.
You have to follow the smart money. Like you have to follow the smart money. And even if you take a look at the indexes, like figure out, okay, the sectors, pull up the sectors. There's like 11 of them. Go pull it up and figure out where the money is going.
Hmm.
At the beginning of the year is always a good time. Everything, of course, is going to start either uh, a lot of stocks is going to be inside candle. If you look at
Yep.
the year, like a lot of them going to be inside candle, right? Whether it's to be a red inside or to be a green inside, those are the ones you start marking your levels and trying to figure out. But in order to do that, you got to go to the sectors, see what sectors did really well last year. How did that candle look like? How did that close look like? And then be able to kind of make your list over there. I keep telling you, I mean, I feel like we keep telling you, energy is going to be one of those big ones.
Hmm.
Technology, of course, is going to be there. I don't know
Hmm.
how Nvidia is going to do this year, how much more they can run. If they can prove they're worth it, investors. Because while they always talk about this, like once you start doing good, investors are going to hold you to a higher. Even if you do good, even if you deliver some good numbers, if you miss it by 2 or 3%, like, you're not doing good. We're selling you right now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah, you got to understand when you start getting into those names like Nvidia and Microsoft and Meta and all those names, right? The expectations get
you're
bigger.
under a microscope. Yeah.
Yeah, they get bigger. So those names, you jump on those when you see big drops like we saw in April.
Yep.
That's when you jump on them because those opportunities may not ever come
It
again.
might never come
Like
again.
like we were able to get into Nvidia at 88 in April.
Yeah.
Like 80 sub $100 Nvidia in April.
Yep.
And for most of us, it wasn't like we got in at the bottom. We just saw the drop and was like, all right, let's start building a
Jump
position
in.
here. Let's
Yeah.
just start building a position here. So whether we get an opportunity like that this year or not, I don't know. Right? A lot of the chaotic dust that we saw um, has been settled, which is good. Um, but the only area that I will keep monitoring is the private credit market, and that reminds me to let me look at my my risk meter. So again, I always look at, yeah, we're still in good shape. Yeah, I always look at bond spreads, right? Bond spreads tell the story about how much risk is priced into the market.
Yep.
If you understand that piece, you'll know when to be defensive and when to like be aggressive. Right now, we don't have a lot of risk pricing to the market. Today, market dropped, boohoo, nothing really crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You start seeing a 15, 16, 17 VIX. You got to start looking at, okay, is this something that's going to last long term? Is this something that is just a blip for a couple, days? But to me, when you see a VIX that gets over 20, that's when you start thinking stocks are on sale.
Yep.
What are some names that I want to hold long term? To me, that's when you start looking at some of the big names, right?
Yep. Yep.
Build the foundation there. Maybe you look at an ETF. Maybe you look at SPY or QQQ. That's when I'll start looking at that. When I start seeing a VIX above 20, you start seeing a VIX above 40 or a VIX above 60, like we've seen. I mean, at that point, you just know, okay, I'm going to start building positions in really good
Right.
quality names at this point. So,
Right. Right.
but yeah, we got a VIX at 14, which is,
It's not
fairly
bad.
normal, which is fairly normal. I like
Yeah.
the VIX to be under 14. I like the swing trade when the VIX is under 14, but
Yep.
right now we're sitting at below. But we've had some good spikes though, because we had a spike in April to 60. We had a spike to 30 in October, and we
Yep.
had a spike to almost 30 in November before we start to subside. So all of those times when the big spikes above 20, look at those opportunities as times to get into good quality names.
Yep.
So
Because remember, that's when people scared. That's
yeah,
when,
that's when
you
everybody's
see,
scared.
yep, and that's the best time to get in the market. Like, when you start hearing those headlines, oh, the market is selling up, it's crashing, it's crashing. I feel like we talk about this, man. Like when you start hearing those headlines, man, that's when you like, all right, it's time to get in. It's
Correct.
time to
Yeah.
like figure out what stocks are actually on sale. And then
Yeah.
that's when you jump in. So
And at that point, I always say if the safer bet is to buy quality
quality.
in those
Yep.
times,
Yep.
because the small companies that are not profitable, that are might be struggling, they may not make it.
Mm-hmm.
Nvidia
Mm-hmm.
gonna make it. They got enough
Yep.
money to make it.
Yep.
Meta gonna make it. You know, Microsoft gonna make it. Google's gonna make it.
Yep.
You know,
That is a good
IonQ,
point. That is a good
yeah,
point though. That is a good
IonQ
point.
may not make it. You
Yep.
know, Oklo may not make
Yeah.
it. So if you're somebody who's new to investing and you see a VIX spike, focus on quality
Quality.
first,
Yep.
first, before you start jumping into some of these, high growth speculative things. Now, Oklo did come back last year, IonQ did come back last year, right?
Yep.
But focus on quality in those times of distress because at least you have the vote of confidence that you're gonna wake up the next morning and Nvidia is still gonna be there.
Yep.
Microsoft is still
Facts.
gonna be there. Right.
Facts.
I could wake up tomorrow, Aqua could be gone.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, it could happen, right?
It could happen.
So those dips are not really, to me, they're not designed for speculative investments.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, because I think that especially if you're new, you know, that could scare you. So,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
but yeah,
Yep.
that's basically pretty much it for me, man. I think there's some names out there that have gotten beaten up that if you do your research, maybe they pay off in the next 2 or 3 years, as Billy
Yep.
mentioned. I'd probably put Nike and Starbucks on the top of my list and Target
Target. Yep.
on the top of my list as far as companies that do have more potential. Another name that has pulled back that to me is still nowhere near its all-time highs is, where is it? Boeing.
Mm-hmm. Bro, we're not gonna talk about Bowen again and miss this run again. I feel
Oh,
like we did that last year.
I'm in a Boeing swing right now. I'm in a Boeing swing right
Yeah.
now.
I feel like we did
But
that last year with like when Boeing was like around 130, whatever. It's like, you know what? This is a good company. And then we missed that move. So I'm not missing on this one this year.
so 2019, Boeing was a $446 stock.
Mm.
Now they're trading at 227. Now, will they get to 400? I do not know. I can't say for sure.
As long
But
as they can stay out the news. I feel like the past 3 years, they just had some bad news. You got planes falling off the sky, wheels dropping in people's houses. They got like lawsuit left and right, people getting murdered because whistleblowers. Like it was crazy. It was like a soap opera, you know what I mean? So it's like if they can stay out of the news and just stay focused on building quality planes and actually like providing quality service to their customers, man, I think Boeing will be back in the 400s. But it's like they just got to stay out the news. Like
gotta stay out
just
the news. Gotta stay out the news.
stay out the government radar. Just do the right things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
gotta
Build the
stay
planes the way they're supposed to be built. That's it.
increase your inspection standards, right?
Man,
So
you have one
because
job to do. You have one job. Just
I
build
keep
quality planes.
I keep telling people, you want a commercial plane, you got two choices. You got Airbus and Boeing. That's it.
Boeing. That's it.
And we're talking about for the entire world.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
yeah. I like if you are patient enough, I think hopefully Boeing can get back to the glory days. I just like I said, I
It's
you
gonna take
can't
time.
you can't protect yourself against news. That's
Yep.
the thing. You can't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah, man. But moving on to next week, man, we have some economic calendar on the books. Hopefully, we get all the numbers that we need to get. I mean, I don't see anything crazy. We have, of course, the unemployment numbers on Wednesday, ADP employment report, and then on Thursday we have consumer credit. I mean, we'll get some signals on consumer borrowing and spending. Again, those numbers are like from like October and November. That's like those like old numbers that they're gonna be
ooh,
reporting on. You know what I mean? Because we missed a lot. We missed a lot of those numbers in and when we were doing through all the whole government shutdown and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
right now, there's not a lot of crazy numbers that might move the market. I mean, the Eurozone reporting on their core CPI, we'll see how
Okay.
that looks like.
Mhm.
But other than that, there's not really like big numbers coming up next week. So it might be either a quiet week or we'll see if there's more money being injected to the market.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that the Nasdaq was not able to hold that move this
Oh,
morning.
and it was a
This
nice move, man.
the
It was a
speed
nice
at
move.
which it gave out was crazy. Like the speed, because so I was in a Google swing
Mm,
and I had been averaging down because Google, I mean, it didn't go anywhere. And the options that expired today closed yesterday at $4 a contract. Those contracts shot up to like 130 a contract. But when it closed today, it closed at $2 a contract. So when
and
I
you
saw
have
that,
to be quick.
bro, when I saw it shot up, I literally texted in the community. I said, "Time to get out of Google." I was like, somebody gave me an opportunity to get out, and I had some longer dated ones that I could have
Yeah,
held on to, but I was like, "Nah, let me just get out,
no,
man."
no. Yeah,
So
it was some crazy move today,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah. So, but I will leave with this parting words of wisdom, and I've probably said this before. What stops a lot of people from getting into the markets? Sometimes nowadays it's not about lack of information. It's usually about lack of budgeting because
Mm,
they don't know how much money they can commit to a systemic
just yep,
investment plan.
yep,
So
yep.
I have a video about how to build a bulletproof budget, and I will be sharing that information for free so people can access it. If you can build a bulletproof budget and commit to a specific dollar figure to invest, to me, your financial life will transform in the long run.
Mhm.
It's not going to transform overnight
Right,
because you have to build the discipline and you have to build the system. The system starts with a budget. What am I spending on a weekly or monthly basis that makes sense that allows me to invest?
right.
Maybe that system requires paying off some debt. Maybe that system requires you eating out less, spending less money on dumb stuff. I mean, obviously,
Yes.
you're going to spend money on dumb stuff. We all do it.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to build the system around investing as well. And it doesn't have to be something crazy. If you can consistently put away $50 a week, it's better than zero.
It's better
You
than
can
zero.
consistently put away $20 a week, better than zero.
Hmm.
So build the system around that. Look at the things that you're doing that's stopping you from investing. Because to me, it's not lack of information at this point. There's so much information. There are ETFs, there's acorns. There's so many ways to get invested nowadays. It's overwhelming to me.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
when I got started, when you wanted to trade options, you had one choice. There was an options company that got bought out by E-Trade. That was basically where I went.
yeah.
You know, back then there weren't that many ETFs. It was mostly just mutual funds that you had to pay a fee for.
Hmm.
Now you got Robinhood, which is another stock that had a 200% gain last year, that
Crazy.
makes it so easy to get into the market at a low cost. So build a system.
Yep,
Start today. Today. Don't wait.
yep,
The
yep.
best day to invest was yesterday.
Yesterday.
And the best day before that was the day before that. So don't let keep time passing by. Don't let this stock market game like shake you or make you feel like it's complex. Get an ETF or find a mutual fund that you can consistently put money in and don't do anything.
Yep, yep, yep.
That's it.
Or if you have a 401k, pay
Yeah,
attention to that.
that correct. It's the same system. Take your 401k mindset and put it into a brokerage account.
There you go.
That's it.
Literally, literally, that's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yep,
And
yep.
start there. And as you start to build your alchemy and as you start to get more, you know, uh knowledgeable about what's going on with markets by listening to us, obviously, you're going to get more comfortable with investing.
Yep.
Because remember when the sky was falling back in first quarter of last year, and we were just like, just dollar cost your average way into the market. You'll be all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
How'd
look
that
and look and look
how'd
and look
that
where we
turn
at.
out?
Look where we at.
How'd that turn out? How'd that turn out? It's
Yep.
not
Yep.
magic. It's like, okay, I've seen this before, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
It's a system. It's a
it's a
system.
system. It's a system.
So I think that's gonna be the theme of this year. It's just how do you create a system that
Yep. How do you create the system? That's
yeah.
exactly.
So that way, just because you want this to be automated, you want this to be part of your lifestyle, you want this to be part of your budget. So that way, you're not thinking about it every month. It's like, oh, I already know $100, $200 is gonna go into buying ETFs, or $300 is gonna go into buying this stock or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like keeping that as part of your overall budget makes things so much easier for you. It's like I already have it allocated. Whatever is rest is for me to do what I want to do with. You know what I mean? I think that's usually what people are worried about. It's like, I'm not gonna have enough money to enjoy life, you know?
And you know what you can do now? You can literally go online, download your statements, input it into ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, here are the last 3 months of my statements. How much am I spending on necessities?
Mm-hmm.
How much am I spending on dumb stuff? Based on this information, how much can I invest per month?
For
Or
months.
you can just plug in the numbers at ChatGPT and it'll
Yeah.
say, here are here's an idea. If you want to invest $100 a month, this is what you make. This is what you should be spending. Blah blah, and it will
It'll
literally
break it
break
down
it
for you.
down for you.
Yep. Yep.
And then you take that number and you just start putting it away automatically every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, it will really, really do you good in the long run. So those
Facts.
are those are my parting words.
Hey, and as we head into 2026, man, you guys gotta understand that this year is not about trading out of emotion. Like, and it's like we all have that. We're human beings, right? Sometimes we jump into a trade because we just had an emotional thing. So it's like this is not the year for it. I honestly think like this is a year to trade intentionally and with a system. You got to focus on quality. You got to respect your risk. You got to pay attention to, all of those different, information that's gonna hit you all at the same time. And how do you break it down into like meaningful information that you can use? That's why we
Correct.
have this show. Like
Yep.
literally, that's why we have this show because we want to be able to, even if you like analyzing your own stock, but if you can take some of those systems that we do, some of those steps that we take to analyze the stock and use it on your stock, to find your own valuable stock to invest in. Like that's all that we want to be able to, help people with, like give you guys a system and stuff.
Yeah.
But with that being said, man, it's a new year, it's a new discipline, but it's the same mission. Let's get wealthy. With that being said, man, Wale, I appreciate you, bro. Happy New Year, man. And everybody else, please have a good weekend. And we'll see you guys next week, Wednesday, for
Yep.
another episode.
All
So
right.
catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Have a good
Okay.
night.